Yeah, I mean, I know they've given him some, mechanical changes, and when that timeline is exactly, I'm not sure, but I know, he's done well down there, and, looking forward to when he gets his next opportunity.
Flash, what has stood out to you about the way that this offense has scored throughout the season?
It's been fun to watch for sure. I think, I've done it a lot of different ways via the home run, played some small ball, the athleticism on the bases. It's been able to do it a lot of different ways. The wind's going out, the wind's going in, and it's been fun to watch. So, yeah.
Craig said yesterday was a big day for Ian, just to kind of go through his full workout. What's the latest on him? How is he doing? How did that go?
Yeah, he had a good day running the bases. Tomorrow, he's going to be on the field again, so he's progressing well, and yeah.
You think there's a chance he can come off at a minimum stint on the IL still?
I don't think there's any update yet. I know he's going to be on the road trip, and then we'll see where we go from there.
With having been a starter and a bench player during your career, how difficult is it to be a bench player, and do you have to ignore the numbers for bench players because of the fact that the role is so different?
I think you have to fact check. Was I ever a starter? Was I?
I know you played 9 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think you guys like Nicky Lopez and, Brujan and those guys, I mean, it's not easy. You're sitting there and, you get a pinch hit in the 7th inning and, everyone's thinking, what the heck, So to look at statistics for a bench person, it's not always fair, no.
This guy up here checking you out. Can you take us back to an Ole Miss Drew Pomeranz versus a Vanderbilt Ryan Flaherty? That matchup.
I could take you back to a 35-year-old Ryan Flaherty quality control coach for the Padres facing Drew Pomeranz.
Are you looking at future as a manager, or learning anything under Craig that you can use, or are you just?
Look, Count's been great to be around every day. I think just, the atmosphere he creates for the coaches just to come in here and just to, honestly just be with him every day is special. That's pretty much all I'd say with that.
When you look at Pete from last year to kind of what he's done, especially this last month, what stands out to you most about the progression and development?
I think, just the impact he's had in the club, and what he's been able to do with the catchers, and the right fielder. I think it's just the development of those two positions, center field and catchers both, it's been really carried us. So specifically, I don't know what it is. I think it's a lot of his confidence on it, quite frankly, and him learning himself and learning what the other teams are doing to him. And I think, him putting that together, is what's brought it all together.
Does a bench coach gravitate to younger players and check in with them more, especially a guy like PCA who's getting so much attention? Is that part of your role?
For sure. I think, you're around the guys a lot more. I'm not stuck in the office having to talk to the media all the time. So when you're not doing that, it's a chance to check in with the players and, get a pulse on them and, make sure everything's going good.
Are you not surprised in how humble he is, but, how he's handled so much, I guess, fame so quickly in a way? Attention, I guess.
Yeah, I got a special personality about him. I got a 5-year-old son, and the way that, Pete treats him is it's special. I think the way he speaks and how humble he is, and he's a star. So not every star is like that, and I think you just, you're appreciative of how he is.
You're going to be a manager at some point. Are you surprised how much time, like you talked about, and also impact dealing with the media comes into the hiring of a manager these days?
I'm sure it is. I've never gone through it totally, so I don't know. But I see the way, when it's social media, you can figure it out. So yeah.
Fans see the outcomes of games. They see, the runs being put up. But what about this group, kind of in the dugout, in the clubhouse, makes them kind of primed for success the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think the second year I think counts being here and just giving those group or giving the position player group really focusing on identity and what other teams should feel from the group that we have. I think that's been more defined this year from Counts' perspective. And then to go out and watch those guys every day, like I said, like it's if it calls for a bunt, we can bunt. If it calls to be able to run that day, we run. If it calls to be able to slug that day, it feels like we've been able to slug. So adjusting to what the game's giving us is been a huge, big part of what we've been able to do this year.
How much pride do you take as a coach among the other coaches with the development of Pete, of Michael Bush at first, the catching, some of the other development that took place last year going into this year?
I mean, those are big pieces. Certainly, you can't always just get Kyle Tucker handed to you. You need those guys that are younger players to play well. And Bushy, Pete, Miguel, those have been huge pieces for us as a team. I've had it since in middle school. They used to call me Flat. I wasn't very fast, and then it just kind of turned into Flash. So I've had it since middle school.
Were you fast for Maine, though?
Probably for Maine, yeah.
Well, it's actually one of those opposite nicknames you're saying.
Yeah.
You weren't fast.
I wasn't fast, yeah.